Well, hello, everybody. Welcome. As our speakers are making their way to the stage, let me just welcome all of you. This is our second Community Issues Forum of the year. I think many of you were here last month when we talked about poverty and hunger, and today we're talking about youth violence. These issues forums are just really a way for us to introduce our top management, our leaders within Amway, and those who are already engaged in community leadership, what some of the pressing issues are in the community. And the way that we kind of got connected to this was through Leadership Grand Rapids, and it's actually Leadership Grand Rapids, and actually now they've changed their name to the Center for Community Leadership, who has helped us to put together a real good discussion on these topics. And we're hoping that this will help you understand a little bit better what's happening just a few miles down the road in Grand Rapids, what some of the needs are in our community, and how we can help to meet some of those needs through our corporate resources, through the One by One campaign for children, and through our own leadership efforts and volunteer efforts. So the first thing I'm going to do is introduce Kevin Stotts, and you can come on up here, Kevin. Kevin is the Vice President of the Center for Community Leadership. And that's a program of the Grand Rapids Area Chamber of Commerce, which runs the Leadership Grand Rapids program, the Inside Grand Rapids program, Leadership Advantage, and several other programs. And they also coordinate a large network of leaders within our community. So they're at the forefront of a lot of issues, a lot of systems thinking within the community, and do a good job of helping us to frame what ways that we can connect. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Kevin. He will introduce our panel of speakers, and we will have an opportunity after they talk for a while for you guys to ask questions too. So be thinking of questions as we go along. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jesse. It's a pleasure to see many of your faces again who were at the first session of the series we did last year, and more seeing a lot of familiar faces from our program graduates or board members like Diane Bennett, who is a board member of the CCL organization. And it's my pleasure to have three esteemed guests and what would a lot of people in the community would consider to be experts in the area of youth violence in the community of Grand Rapids. And as Jesse talked about today, we're going to get into a discussion of youth violence, and first introductions, talking about some of the what are we witnessing as far as youth violence as a community, and then getting into a discussion of prevention and intervention for the issue of youth violence, and give you still plenty of opportunity for questions at the end. We expect a very lively and informative debate. Certainly, we had a great discussion yesterday as we were preparing for today's program. And so, but in this dialogue, if you have a pressing question, feel free to raise your hand and participate. Because it would, I think, add to the dialogue if you have specific questions that you feel pressed to ask to go ahead and do that. So with that, I'd like to have each of our three guest panelists introduce themselves. Pastor Jerry Bishop with LifeQuest Ministries, Lieutenant Rolf Mason with the Grand Rapids Police Department, and Shanae Edmund Verlay with the DeVos Family Foundations. And Pastor, why don't we start with you in terms of your role and sort of the issue of youth violence and how your ministry is stepping in to participate and be a part of the solution.
I pastor a ministry here in town called LifeQuest. LifeQuest means life mission. And we're one of the only ministries of its kind that actually reach out to young men 14 to 40 on a regular basis. That's our total concentration on dealing with the lives of broken young men. We're 11 years old. We use a variety of strategies and principles that originate through the faith principle. As we're advocating Jesus Christ as a change in their life, we're coming alongside young people, providing them with the necessary infrastructure repair, employment, self-esteem improvement, finding out who they are, who they're not, and trying to connect the dots with where their needs really lie. I have said a couple times on this year when it was brought to my attention that unofficially, I have the record, a tragic record here in town of having buried more young men in the last 5 years than any other African-American pastor here in the city of Grand Rapids, which is a horrible personal note on my resume, but it is a needed service in the community in dealing with such a tragic audience. We are set up to deal with 100 young men. Unfortunately, we engage over 400 young men per month. Many of they're the collateral damage of generations of incarceration, poverty, illiteracy, previous felony convictions and things of that nature. And so, here we are 11 years later, and we're still one of the only ministries dealing with that audience on a regular basis. And although it looks bleak from the outside, it looks encouraging from the inside, because we see widespread change in the lives of those that we do reach out to, because we consistently reach out to them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year.
I don't know if this thing is on. Can you hear me okay? All right. I'll try not to yell. My name is Ralph Mason, and yesterday I celebrated 28 years on Grand Rapids Police Department. That is something I am somewhat very proud of. All my life as a young person. My brother works out here, Charles Mason, over there. He works here. Yeah. And you know what's interesting? The only reason I'm nervous is because my brother's in the audience. So, yeah, don't be nervous. Yeah. I normally don't like my family around when I'm talking in public. I actually told him not to come today. I am, 28 years. Most of my career, 15 years of my career, I spent in the vice unit. Now, I have worked patrol as a regular patrol officer. I have worked on the tactical team as what people say now, they call it SWAT team. I've done that. Then I got the opportunity to go into the vice unit, and I actually went in there for a short period of time, and I ended up staying 15 and a half years. I got promoted to sergeant in the vice unit, and they kept me in the vice unit. And at one point in time, I was assigned to a grand jury where I helped investigate 25 unsolved homicides. Then I went back in the vice unit, and then later I was promoted to lieutenant. And I've had various jobs as a lieutenant, including watch commander, which means you are actually, after everybody goes home, you are in charge of the entire city. For me, that was a privilege, because from the time I was in maybe 4th, 5th grade at St. Andrews in Grand Rapids, where I went to grade school, I wanted to be a Grand Rapids police officer. And then one day I wake up and I'm actually in charge of the entire department. So that was a thrill for me on a personal level. Presently, I am my title is Community Relations and Public Information Officer. Where I get, I can't say expertise, but where I have had a lot of dealings with youth violence of every age. I have seen quite a bit of violence over the years. So that's where I get my degree in youth initiatives and youth violence and youth in the city of Grand Rapids.
Shanae?
Hi, I'm Shanae Edmund Burley, and I'm in my 3rd week as the Senior Program Officer for Community Initiatives for the DeVos Foundation. And I was brought to the foundation to help them really focus on how to make strategic and systemic funding around youth, getting children ready for next steps, for college and for employment, and how do we make sure that those youth in our community are ready for that. What we find out across our community actually is that only 4 in 10 young people are ready for their next steps. Obviously, that's disproportionate among children in the core city. I come to the foundation with, I've had about 7 years of work with them on a national initiative. I don't know if you know that Mr. and Mrs. DeVos have